Hey everyone, I hope you had a good weekend. We have a short week, obviously, this week. So on Monday, you're not actually turning anything in, but you are going to be doing two very important things on Monday. So the first thing is on Monday, you really want to wrap up anything that you need to get done with your reader's guide. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to use any of the strategies or skills that you learned in that studio that you did on Friday to proofread and make any final edits to your Reader's Guide ebook. So the Reader's Guide is not due until December 1st, but I'd like you to finish it as soon as you can. If you can finish it this week before Thanksgiving break, that would be ideal, because when we get back from Thanksgiving break, we will be devoting all of our time to the portfolio assignment. Okay, so please make sure that you are making any final revisions and getting that kind of squared away. And if you want to turn it in early, you are free to do so. So the next and last thing that we are working on this semester is the portfolio. So the portfolio acts as the final in the course. So we do not have a final exam. So if you see, I'm not sure if the registrar has scheduled us for one, but we do not have one. So this acts in place of a final. So I'm going to take the time in this video today to go over the portfolio assignment a little bit. So you're not turning anything in for this, but it's really important that you know what's coming when you get back. So just like with the Reader's Guide, you are going to be doing the portfolio assignment in pieces. Okay, so we have two what are called portfolio checks, where you're building it over the next couple weeks before you have to turn it in. Okay, so if you follow along with what's due each day, you should do fine. Okay, so the portfolio is a way for you to show what you have learned in the course by pulling out what are called artifacts or excerpts from your own writing, any work that you've done in the class, and using those to demonstrate and write about what you have learned according to the what are called student learning outcomes in the course, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so you're doing analysis and demonstrating your skill as a writer. Okay, so the audience for this is really broad. So you're not just writing to me, you're not just writing to your classmates. Anyone at UNC or even outside of UNC Charlotte should be able to understand what you're talking about in your portfolio. So you're going to need to create some context, explain what an assignment was and how you think it helped you, etc. So that people outside the class and people besides me understand what it is you are talking about. Okay, so you're going to use Google Docs. You're going to start another Google Doc. You're also going to have a cover page, and your Google Doc is going to have 5 different sections or 5 different headings, and you're going to use the student learning outcomes as your headings. So when you scroll down, you will see that there are 5 student learning outcomes. Okay, so each section, let me just show you down here. So the SLO stands for student learning outcome. So I should read through these. So these are things that we have these have been kind of the goals that we have tried to cover in the course throughout the semester. So you have had some experience with each of these SLOs, student learning outcomes. So you want to use your own work to demonstrate how you have done that. Okay, so for each section, you're going to have the SLO at the top as the heading, and you will write about 400 words per section. Okay, so the word count does not include the artifact or the excerpt from your work. The 400 words are new writing that you are doing about your artifacts. So I'm asking you to focus on at least 2 key terms or phrases, or even 2 bullet points from each of the SLOs So just pull out whatever it is that you feel most drawn to talking about from each SLO. And then you want to include 3 artifacts. So again, that's examples from your own work. So that could be anything from what we've done in this course. Any of your homework assignments, online parlors, talkbacks, syntheses, drafts, infographics, peer reviews, studios, final drafts of the reader's guide, etc. So anything that you have written is fair game to use. So the artifacts can be screenshots, images, or text that's copied and pasted into your portfolio. If an artifact is an assignment that was submitted in the assignment text box on Canvas, you want to copy and paste it into your portfolio Google Doc and also label it as well. This is because you cannot link to an artifact on Canvas. So for outside reviewers that may see this, they'll need to see the entire assignment. So copying and pasting it. So that would be things like your online parlors, the talkbacks. Those are mainly turned in through the assignment text box on Canvas. So if you use any of those, you can just copy and paste it. And then you would say, excerpt of my parlor post from whatever date. So you're going to label every artifact with what it is, what type of assignment it is, and the date that you submitted it. If the artifact is an excerpt or screenshot from an assignment that exists on Google Docs, you want to provide a link to the original document and also then follow the labeling instructions. So maybe you wanted to, I have this example here, you want to show just your editor's commentary from Research Log 2. You can take a screenshot of that and include that and just label it that it was a screenshot of Research Log, editor's commentary for Research Log 2 and whatever date it was that was turned in. So once you have those artifacts figured out, so remember you want 3 for each of the SLOs, so 15 total artifacts from throughout the semester from any of your work from this course. You're going to describe the activity briefly, and then discuss in as much detail as possible why you have chosen that. So it may be a good example of something from the student learning outcomes, or maybe it's something where you think you weren't doing it very well. That's fine. You can show an example where you feel like you're not meeting the mark, and you're not going to be marked down for that. So you're only graded on the new content that you are writing in your portfolio. So you're not going to be regraded on any of assignments. So let's say you did not do so well on an assignment, but you think it's a good example of something from one of the SLOs. You can put that on there and it's not going to hurt your grade. Okay, so you can still talk about what's going on in that. How does it align with the key term or bullet point that you have focused on? And discuss how or why those skills or understanding of the key term are important to you as a writer. So how has that helped you develop as a writer? And you do not have to have, some grand narrative that you were a horrible writer before and now you are, a wonderful writer and you understand everything about writing. We all know that that's unrealistic. Writing is a lifelong journey. And so you're looking for just little shifts in your understanding about writing. Okay. I'm not going to go over the cover page guidelines in much detail here as they're fairly straightforward, but you have the student learning outcomes here for you. So to set up your page next week, you'll see we're creating kind of the shell or the frame of the assignment next week. You're just going to be copying and pasting this. That would be heading 1, okay, and then this would be heading 2, and you'll build the shell and then fill in with your artifacts and reflection on any of the terms or again bullet points from each of those SLOs. Okay, so for example, for this first SLO, maybe you want to focus on research-based views of writing. That would be considered a key term or phrase, or maybe you want to focus on the whole bullet point. That's fine as well. Whatever you feel like talking about most for each of these student learning outcomes, if you're being specific and using artifacts from your own work, then you are doing fine. Okay, remember you can draw on anything that we've done in the class, including studios, final drafts, down drafts, etc. And finally, I have a sample here of a portion of a student's portfolio. Okay, so their key term was rhetorical situation. Okay, so they were focusing on that, all right, and they have included 2 artifacts, all right, to talk about that key term. So this is their first artifact. You can see that they've labeled it and provided a link. And then their second artifact, they've labeled it and provided a link. Okay, so these are obviously their guiding question infographic and their projected inquiry infographic. And then I would suggest reading over what they have written and show, and I think this is a good example of being specific, and they are discussing what they're noticing in each of the infographics. Okay, so this counts towards the words count. Okay, so this is new material that they have created for the portfolio. Okay, so, and this would be one of the key terms that they're focusing on in one of their sections, and two of the 3 that they would need for that section. Okay, so again, you need 3 artifacts per section. You can do more if you want, and then that would be 15 artifacts total. So please read over this more than once so that you get a good sense of what you're doing with the portfolio. And when we get back next Monday after Thanksgiving break, what you're doing, you'll see that you have portfolio check 1, and you are building the shell in Google Docs and putting in some of the artifacts that you would like to use. All right, so please post questions that you have to the Ask the Professor, and I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving weekend.